We come to the Attributes of God, Lesson 8b. We have been looking at some of the factors that make the Bible unique and cause the skeptics to think carefully before they try to press their case for circular reasoning in our use of the Scriptures. We've looked at, number one, the fact that the Bible represents for us as Christians a basis on which to live and build our lives. The second thing we looked at was the fact that the Bible itself has to be accounted for. And now we're going to go on and look at something else. It's the matter of prophecy. How can the detailed prophecy of Scripture, unlike any other book in existence, be accounted for if the Bible is not inspired? This is such a problem for the skeptics that they have of necessity to claim that the Bible is a forgery, and all the detailed prophecies of Scripture were actually written after the events prophesied actually happened. Now they claim this despite all the clear evidence to the contrary. They have no alternative. If these prophecies really were written before the events predicted, and they obviously were, then this prophetic revelation could only have come by inspiration, and the skeptics would rather not venture too far along this path either. And so they don't really like to discuss prophecy at too much length because they've just got to claim that it's all a forgery, even though clearly the prophecies were given long before the events happened. Another factor that must be considered is the matter of the life-changing impact that the Scriptures have had and are having in practice on the lives of millions of individuals throughout history, throughout the world. What is it about the Bible that gives it the power to change people's lives? This is a question the skeptics don't really like to delve into. The Bible is the only book in the world that only causes lives to change for the better and never for the worst. Drunks and prostitutes are transformed, criminals become honest citizens, ordinary people become extraordinary. Apathy is turned to dedication. Useless lives gain purpose. And the change is always up, the change is never down. This upward change has applied wherever the Scriptures have become available throughout the last 3,500 years. The skeptics may not like the changes that the Scriptures cause in people's lives, but they're not so stupid as to suggest that these changes actually don't happen. They have no explanation as to why these changes happen, and they are just not generally keen to pursue this subject. And then there's something else. There's the fact that the Bible's claim for itself of inspiration is so controversial. If it's just an ordinary book, like every other book, then why must the skeptics and why must so many so-called Christians oppose its claim to inspiration so strongly? Why make such a fuss about it? If it's not inspired, it's just a book full of lies, full of deceit, and full of false claims. If it's not inspired, why does it matter if some of us think it does? Why is our opinion that important? Why make a fuss over it? Why isn't the same fuss made over all the other religious writings of all the other many religions of the world? Why it is always the Bible and only the Bible that must be attacked? And why must it be ridiculed at every opportunity? To add to this, there's another question that we and the skeptics must consider. Why is it that the Bible is the only religious writing that is ever being constantly counterfeited? Why have so many attempts been made to change it and to corrupt it? No other religious writing is being, or ever has been, attacked in this way to the extent that the Bible has. What is it about the Bible, and only the Bible, that causes it to be so vehemently opposed? Why do people get so upset over the Bible? What is it about the Bible that stirs people up so much? It certainly cannot be just an ordinary book like all other literature, or it would not be so controversial. Another fact that calls for consideration is that Bibles are constantly being deliberately destroyed by people and organisations who oppose Christianity. Millions of Bibles have over the years been burnt in an attempt to eradicate this book and its message. Why? What is it about the Bible that causes people to want to destroy it and to get rid of it? When there's millions of people wanting Bibles, other people are desperately destroying them. How many other religious writings have been so consistently attacked in this way? While Bibles have been consistently and systematically destroyed over the last 2,000 years, other religious writings have not even been opposed. Why is it? What is it about the Bible that stirs people up so much? Most Christians have so little insight that they do not realise that this controversy over inspiration of the Bible actually begs the question and gives the Bible a unique standing among all the literature ever written. The skeptics, on the other hand, are quick to realise this fact and will often do their best not to be led down this path. Let's just take a little bit of time now just to understand that the main reason for this matter of inspiration of the Bible is controversial is that there are implications to what the Bible teaches that are eternal. These implications are unique to Christianity. Only Christianity has the teachings of the Bible. No other religious writings make the claims that the Bible does. No other religious writing proclaims that salvation is by grace alone, through faith alone, in a God-man alone. No other religious writing completely puts aside man's works as a means of salvation. The reason that the inspiration of the Bible is attacked and opposed is that if the Bible is inspired and therefore the truth as revealed by God, then mankind is created by God and mankind is answerable to God. And mankind does not want to be answerable to God, and so he does not want to have to believe the Bible. This is the reason that the inspiration of the Bible is so vigorously attacked and opposed, and the Bible is seen as being so controversial. It's because mankind does not want to be answerable to the God who created him. The next matter that comes to our attention when considering the Bible is the fact that it contains so small a volume of books and writings. It only contains 66 books in all, and some of them are only 1 or 2 chapters, very small books. And when we consider its claim to be the completed revelation of God to mankind, this is what God gave to mankind, it certainly would appear to be very brief, wouldn't it, when you think about it? Only 66 books, some of them quite small books, and this is it. This is all that God ever gave to mankind. Thousands of other religious writings have been produced throughout the centuries of past history, and many of these have claimed that they've been divinely inspired by God, but they've been rejected from the canon of Scripture. Why have all these been excluded from the canon of Scripture and only the 66 books included, such a small volume? The reason is that from all the writings of all of history, only these 66 books have passed and still do pass the strict tests of canonicity. This surely makes these writings unique and very special indeed, and sets them apart from all other religious writings throughout all of history. The 66 books of the Bible are the only writings to ever pass the tests of canonicity, and many of the skeptics know and understand the implications of this. It's tragic that many Christians, so-called Christians, are not nearly so well informed about their own scriptures as the skeptics are. Then there's another question, and the question of how we and the skeptics account for the preservation of the Jews and the nation of Israel. Why is this relevant to inspiration of the Bible? Well, simply because the Bible's claims about the nation of Israel and God's chosen people, the Jews, are so clearly laid out and made clear to us. The Bible clearly states that both the Jewish people and the nation of Israel will be preserved throughout all of history. The fact that, despite repeated efforts to totally destroy the Jews throughout all of history, these people, and since 1948, the nation of Israel, have been preserved. This is a fact and can't be denied. And even the most sceptical observer must admit that this is an unexplainable miracle, that the Jewish nation exists at all now and that the Jewish people have been preserved. To add to this, there's another interesting aspect as far as the Jews and the Jewish nation are concerned. How has it happened that, right throughout history, Jews have become such great and powerful political and economic leaders in other nations? Because they have. How is it possible that every time the Jews and the nation of Israel are threatened with annihilation, there is a Jew in a prominent political position in a powerful nation who is able to change the political balance of power and save the Jews? It's happened over and over throughout history, and even in recent history, it's happened many times. To add to this, there is the fact that secular rulers, kings, presidents, etc., all through history have passed decrees and made laws that have perfectly expedited God's prophetically stated plan, even when these men themselves were openly wicked and deliberately ungodly. How come they've made these laws that have made God's plan work out? Most of these men did not hold the Jews or the God of the Jews in high regard. So how do we and how do the skeptics account for these laws and decrees that are essential if God's prophetic purposes, as revealed in the Scriptures, are to be worked out historically? The skeptics really don't want to go down this path. When they look at it reasonably and logically, they can see that they have a problem. So we see that this matter of circular reasoning in regard to the Scriptures and our theology is not quite as simple and as clear-cut as it may at first appear, and most skeptics are very aware of this. This is why they seldom venture down this path. They'll test us out to see if we're naive enough to be taken in. When they see that we're not, they'll steer clear of it. The Bible is truly an amazing book. It is full of godly wisdom that applies to all ages and all people. Through many attempts, though many attempts have been made to destroy it, the Bible has been preserved and treasured for over 3,500 years. It's now more universally available than it's ever been before in history. Technology has made the Bible totally available to almost the whole world. To prove that the Bible is not inspired is the problem for the skeptics. The onus is on them, and they know that. We who believe the Bible is inspired do so by faith. We don't have to prove it, we just accept it as a fact, and we live our lives in the light of this fact. We really do not have to worry too much about the skeptics bringing this matter up, this matter of circular reasoning and our theology. They are usually far too smart to get involved with this matter, as they know it will quickly lead them along a path that they really don't want to go along. It will usually be misguided and naive so-called Christians who will bring this matter up. They will do so simply because they've never really thought through what they're actually saying.